You've probably spent a few minutes scrolling through endless specs, wondering if any of those numbers actually translate into a computer that just works the way you need it to, quiet enough for a home office, quick enough for a photo edit, and simple enough that you don't have to become a tech wizard just to keep it running. The biggest worry is ending up with a fancy-looking box that looks great on your desk but turns into a daily headache when you try to multitask, stream, or jump on video calls. That's why I'm focusing on the real-world experience of an all-in-one PC, not just the headline features. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, an all-in-one like this is trying to solve a very specific problem: clutter. If you're fed up with a tower, cables, and a separate monitor, the idea of a single 27-inch unit that houses everything behind a sleek, anti-glare screen is instantly appealing. The design is definitely space-saving. You mount it on a stand or wall and you've basically got a modern TV-sized workstation. That alone can be a game-changer for small apartments, shared home offices, or anyone who wants a tidy desk without sacrificing screen real estate. So who actually benefits from this setup? If you're a remote worker who spends most of the day on Zoom, Word, and a handful of browser tabs, the integrated touchscreen adds a handy shortcut for scrolling through documents or annotating PDFs without pulling out a separate tablet. Creative folks who dabble in photo editing or light video work will appreciate the 27-inch IPS panel. The colors are vibrant enough for casual grading, and the anti-glare coating keeps the view clear even when sunlight sneaks through a window. Families with kids also get a bonus. The touch interface can double as a learning tool or a simple way for children to navigate educational apps without needing a mouse. On the flip side, if you're a hardcore gamer or a professional 3D artist, this machine isn't built for you. The Radeon 860M graphics chip is decent for everyday tasks and light gaming, but it won't handle the latest AAA titles at high settings, nor will it accelerate heavy rendering workloads. Similarly, the full HD resolution on a 27-inch screen looks fine for office work, but if you're used to 4K displays for detailed design work, you might notice a lack of crispness when zooming into high-resolution assets. Now let's talk about performance in day-to-day scenarios. The AMD Ryzen AI 7350 processor, paired with 64 GB of DDR5 memory running at 5600 MHz, feels surprisingly snappy for an all-in-one. Boot times are under a minute, and launching multiple Office apps, a browser with a dozen tabs, and a couple of background services feels effortless. The 1TB SSD adds to that responsiveness, giving you ample room for work files, media libraries, and a few games without worrying about slow load times. In practice, I've found that dragging a large PDF into a split-screen view while video chatting doesn't cause any stutter. A clear win for multitaskers. One practical strength that often goes unnoticed is the Wi-Fi 6 connectivity. In a house where multiple devices are competing for bandwidth, the newer Wi-Fi standard gives a steadier stream for video calls and quicker file uploads to cloud services. During a test of a 30-minute Teams meeting with screen sharing, the connection stayed solid, and I didn't experience the occasional pixelation that sometimes shows up on older routers. However, there are a few trade-offs hidden beneath the polished exterior. First, the all-in-one form factor means you're limited in upgradability. The RAM and SSD are technically replaceable, but opening the chassis isn't as straightforward as swapping a stick in a desktop tower. If you anticipate needing more storage or a future CPU upgrade, you'll have to factor that in now. Second, the built-in speakers are adequate for conference calls but fall short if you want an immersive media experience. A separate soundbar or headphones become almost mandatory for serious music listening or movie nights. Finally, the touchscreen is responsive, but it can be a little too sensitive when you're typing, leading to occasional stray inputs unless you disable it in the settings. From a value perspective, the price point sits in a sweet spot for people who want a clean setup without buying separate components. You're essentially paying for the convenience of an integrated system monitor, CPU, storage, and a touch interface all bundled in a single chassis. Compared to buying a comparable desktop, a separate 27-inch monitor, and a keyboard/mouse, you're saving on both cost and space. The Copilot key feature, which launches Windows 11's AI-assisted tools, can speed up routine tasks like drafting emails or summarizing documents, adding a subtle productivity boost that you might not notice right away but appreciate over weeks of use. If you're on the fence because you're not sure whether a touchscreen is worth it, think about your workflow. Do you regularly annotate PDFs, sketch ideas, or navigate web pages with a swipe? If the answer is yes, the touch capability will likely feel like a natural extension of your mouse and keyboard, rather